everywhere I go, I see his face. I just really miss him.
On Sunday, November 10th, the entire Thunder fan base went into crisis mode when Chet Holmgren came down with an injury from a hard fall in a game against the Golden State Warriors that sucked all of the oxygen out of the Paycom Center. Later that night, the Thunder announced that Chet had suffered an iliac fracture, which would likely keep him out for the next 8 to 10 weeks before he would be reevaluated. OKC was already at a big man deficit with Isaiah Hartenstein going down with a left hand fracture during the preseason, and backup center Jalen Williams, J. Will, was also out due to a hamstring injury. The Thunder were without all 3 centers on their roster and needed a hero to step up to the plate and play up and out of position at the 5.
Question. How do we call him? He gave us a signal.
Enter 6'6" guard/forward, now center Jalen Williams. Throughout his first 3 years in the NBA, JDub has been utilized in just about any position and situation possible by the Thunder, including at the 5. But this stretch was going to be different. Dub had played center before for the Thunder, but this time it would be in the starting lineup, without the option of another center coming from the Thunder's bench and for extended minutes and games as well. With JDub at the 5, OKC managed not only to survive, but go 4-2 during their 6-game stretch between Chet Holmgren's injury and Isaiah Hartenstein's first time joining OKC's starting lineup on the road in Sacramento. A couple weeks ago, I asked Mark Daigneualt what it is about Dub and his skill set that makes him so uniquely qualified to step into the center role for the Thunder under extenuating circumstances.
I mean, it's the same thing I always say about Dub, which is, can shoot off the catch, can shoot off the dribble, can play in the mid-range, can get to the rim, can create for his teammates, can cut, can run, can defend 1, defend 2, defend 3, defend 4, defend 5, blocks out, the list of things the guy does. And it doesn't matter what position you put him at. All this is doing is highlighting those things and just showing that you could stress him about as far as you could possibly stress him. He's taking the jump and guarding Zubac, Nurkic, in the same week, Lively and Gafford, and the guy is almost better, the more circumstances you put him in. And so I just don't know how many players there are. There's some, but I don't know how many players that check that many boxes and that do those things with the effectiveness that he does them. And what he's showing right now in an interesting circumstance is that he is a great player, and I think that's on full display.
To Mark's point, that is an incredible amount of boxes that JDub can check on any given night. But which boxes and what about them have helped Jalen Williams to shine so bright during his time at the 5 for the Thunder? I did a deep dive into a ton of the early film from the season to find out for myself how and why JDub has been so special as the center of attention for these extremely small ball Thunder lineups, and here's what I learned and found out. Jalen Williams grew up more playing as a point guard and self-admittedly probably wouldn't call himself a natural scorer. Still, between his development as a player and learning where his spots are on the floor, Dub has really exploded as a dynamic 3-level scorer, and especially when he's playing at the 5. Williams can get inside the paint and around the rim at pretty much any time he wants. His explosive first step allows him to create advantages and get downhill in a hurry. He's a matchup nightmare in a lot of ways, where he's too quick for a lot of larger forwards and too strong for guards to contain. And whenever a big gets cross-matched or assigned to defend him on these drives, it's a barbecue chicken alert. Dub has made a habit of absolutely torching opposing centers off the dribble who look completely lost trying to contain him when he drives or attacks closeouts. He really causes havoc in transition, where he can dust opposing centers in the open floor. Whether it's him going coast to coast, setting up his teammates, or going up for a lob, Jalen Williams barreling down the court on the break has been a frightening sight for opposing defenses with him at the 5. Because of the driving threat that Dub can provide, it allows him to find consistent soft spots in the mid-range against opposing defenses. Putting centers on him in these situations just highlights his threat as a driver, where opposing bigs tend to shade toward trying to protect the rim against potential downhill attacks, leaving a comfortable cushion for Dub on these mid-range jumpers and floaters. And if you do put a guard on him, the process may change, but the results are the same, as he can still get to his spots in the mid-range, whether it just be rising over a smaller defender or using his size and strength to back them down before cashing a fall-away jumper with ease. The term stretch big has become more and more common, as well as an important archetypal weapon for teams in the modern era of NBA basketball. Through 2 years and change, Jalen Williams has become one of the higher level deep threats in the league, shooting just under 40% from 3 in his career on almost 3.5 attempts per game. Dub has a wide 3-point shooting catalog to choose from as well. Whether it be on step-backs, pull-ups, or more, Dub has shown time and time again that he is a knockdown deep threat. But what stood out to me most in these center minutes was just how often the Thunder were able to pair Shai and Dub together to leverage Shai's scoring gravity. In essentially a pick-your-poison ultimatum, opposing teams either have to leave one of the best isolation scorers in the league on an island, or double the ball out of his hands and trigger a kick out to Dub beyond the arc, who's ready to aim and fire from 3. As I previously mentioned, Jalen Williams leans more in the direction of a pass-first player than prioritizing hunting his own shots. Dub is an incredibly good, quick decision maker who does a phenomenal job of always keeping OKC's ball movement alive. As a center, OKC has used him all over as a passer, in the dunker spot, in dribble handoffs, and most frequently off of drive and kicks. Rewinding to Dub's threat in transition, because of that earlier discussed scoring gravity that he provides in open floor situations, Dub often draws a ton of eyes when he's running the break. He does a tremendous job of pushing the pace to spark these easier scoring opportunities. With Williams at center, some trade-offs have to be made. The Thunder are at a size disadvantage, but with these lineups, OKC has a distinct speed advantage. I think this is where Dub's playmaking shines the brightest, where he can draw multiple defenders before hitting his teammates with precision passes all over the floor with elite touch, and mix in some dimes with some extra flair as well. A lot of these transition assists are sparked off of JDub rebounds. The skepticism and doubts concerning the Thunder's rebounding were obviously compounded when OKC was forced into lineups mostly consisting of 6'6" center. But Dub's monstrous 7'2" wingspan really helps him snatch rebounds away from bigger players. His long arms almost work like a vacuum to inhale boards to help the Thunder on the glass. But his wingspan can't do all the heavy lifting. Being matched up with these bigger traditional centers, Dub has displayed some really great technique, grit, and strength in boxing out much larger players like Ivica Zubac and more. Switching over to defense, Dub this season is one of 4 players averaging 2 steals or more per game, along with Dyson Daniels, Tari Eason, and Tyrese Maxey. Dub's massive wingspan also comes into play, causing havoc for opposing ball handlers and in passing lanes generating steals. He has incredible anticipation, a real knack for disrupting opposing offenses. He's among the best in the world when it comes to converting turnovers into quick points on the other end. If he gets a finger or hand on the ball to jog it loose, then it's off to the races, and not too many guys are going to be able to keep pace with Dub on the break. I don't think anyone was expecting Dub to be able to really replicate what Chet brings to the table as a rim protector, but Dub has done a really nice job impacting the game and contributing as a shot blocker in his own way. He's able to contain shot attempts while guarding the ball, helping on the weak side, and more, mostly due to his athleticism, well-discussed wingspan, and phenomenal timing to impact these shot attempts. But it's one thing for me as a 6-foot white dude to be heaping all of this praise on JDub's play at the 5, so I asked a much taller and more talented white dude and one of the best centers in the NBA in Isaiah Hartenstein about his evaluations of watching Jalen Williams fill in at center for the short-handed Thunder this season.
I mean, he did great. I mean, I feel like the way he played, the way he fought, you really got to give him a lot of credit. I feel like him coming in, a lot of players would approach it with the wrong attitude. He came in, played as hard as he could, played really well at the center, and I feel like just his approach to it was kind of something you gotta give him a lot of credit to, because I feel like a lot of people in his position, how good of a player he is, they would have been like, no, I'm not doing it, have someone else do it. But for him to come in, do the little stuff, and you just gotta give him a lot of credit, and that just makes him also a special player to do that, and not a lot of people would do that. I
totally agree here with Hart in regards to what this stretch says about Dub being not only able, but willing to take on this challenge of playing center for large stretches. But now that you've heard Hartenstein's thoughts, Mark Daigneault's thoughts, and mine, now's the time for me to ask, what do you think? What stood out to you most in Dub's time as the center of attention for these Thunder small ball lineups? Do you think this experience could end up helping Dub and the Thunder later down the line? Let me know down in the comments section below, and if you enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe to my channel so I can keep making fun Thunder content like this for all of you. And as always, until next time, thanks for watching.